I'm Adam Watson.
I'm Trinity Watson.
This is the Dark Slinger Mafia Power Hour, where we're going to look at a comic, but it won't be for an hour. Today we're going to look at Abe Sapien, Drums of the Dead one shot by Brian McDonald and Derek Thompson. So when I first cracked this open, I didn't realize that it had a different artist. I was actually expecting to see Mike Mignola's art because he's who I saw on the cover. Usually, well, maybe not usually, but a lot of the offshoots that I've read were written by Mignola. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of surprised to see that this one didn't seem to have any involvement.
Yeah, it's just the backup tale at the end. That's all Mignola.
Yeah, well, let's crack it open and take a look.
All right.
Okay. So, starts off with some pretty well-drawn charts.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Thompson has a really good art style, very detailed. Mm-hmm. His usage of blacks is incredibly well done.
Yeah, I really like the water in this because water is something that's really difficult for me to color in the coloring that I do. I don't know about for you.
Oh, you're not alone. Water is just difficult in general.
Doing a gradient like this where it's a light blue towards the top where the sun would be shining and then like an aquamarine. I think that's aquamarine at least. Mm-hmm. Aquamarine at the bottom. That looks really good. That's actually something I'm going to be swiping.
Yeah.
For water from now on if I have to color any underwater scenes, which don't really feature on my comics, but there might be some. Might be like a car that goes into water or something. Whatever the case, if I ever have to color an underwater scene, I'm going to use that.
All right.
So these pages set up what the problem is. People are going crazy on the ship.
Mm-hmm. Yep, they're hearing the beat of the drums. There's sharks circling the ship.
Yeah. That last panel on the second page, that's super interesting because that's a silhouette for the guy's arm stabbing him, which is way, way too long, just for the record. But it's a silhouette for the stab and a silhouette for the person being stabbed, but the rest of the guy is actually fully illustrated. I don't know if I've ever seen a silhouette done like that. I really like that. Yeah, that's really interesting.
I don't think I've ever seen it done either, but with
I will say though his arm needs to be shortened up by about half of that.
Yeah,
it's ridiculously long arm, but still looks cool.
Yeah, I think anatomy like that can be forgiven when you see what's in the later part of the issue.
Yeah, it is a little bit exaggerated with the anatomy, so I can agree with that. Mm-hmm. So the one thing I'm going to point out here that I don't know if I'm alone in this, but useless sound effects drive me crazy.
Yeah.
So saying the sploosh as he goes into the water, I was like, was that really necessary when I was reading this? I know that not everybody's going to be bothered by that, but I was a little bit bothered by that.
Yeah, that's always been like a pet peeve of yours.
Yeah.
I really like the shark that's like all silhouette, but his eye is popping out.
Yeah, the silhouettes are super well done. Mm-hmm. And then I'm not sure who this guy is exactly. Is he Professor Broom? If he is, he doesn't look like the one that Mike Mignola draws.
I'm not sure. I don't think it's.
It doesn't mention the guy's name, right?
No.
And I'm sure it's been a while since I've read any Hellboy comics, but I'm sure that it shows other people.
Yeah. I mean, it has the picture of Hellboy and a guy in the background, not too detailed, so I'm not sure.
I think that's supposed to be Professor Broom. Hmm. I'm not sure about the guys on the phone, though.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say it probably is. Now, I've seen on like Cartoonist Kayfabe and some other things where they say never do the sky blue. I really like the way that looks in the top panel.
Yeah, with the white on the bottom and then the light blue on top.
Yeah, with the green. I think all the windows reflecting look really good too. That's something that's super hard to do. Every time I have to color in a window, I have no idea what it should be reflecting. It seems like ridiculously hard just to color in some windows.
My trick is to just make them all one color and then the same reflective light strip throughout, like most of them.
These don't have any reflective light strips, and I think that works really well. Because the nice just flat. It looks good. A lot of newer comics these days are way overly rendered. I don't think that it needs that every single time. I think something like this is really effective.
Yeah, especially with like how heavy the blacks are on the building and everything, and then the pops of color, the windows being pops of color in it to show like the design of the building and everything.
Yeah, I think that looks great. So, the basic story so far is that whoever the Professor Broom-like guy was talking to did not want Abe Sapien. They wanted Hellboy. It didn't really say why, other than the fact that Abe was somebody that was found in a jar, but didn't go into any detail. I would have liked
They're
a little bit
racist
more,
against fish people.
something like that. I would have liked a little bit more detail on why they didn't want Abe. Maybe just because he's kind of secondary to Hellboy, but
Right.
the guy who's with him in this is a psychic. So overall, I like everything about these 2 pages, though. The religious iconography looks good.
I love like how this artist draws Abe Sapien. I love how overly detailed he is with his skills and everything. And
Yeah,
his,
he looks
like,
really good.
Frills, yeah.
Gills? I
Gills.
don't know.
But yeah.
I'm assuming those are just gills.
Yeah.
Yeah. Abe looks really good. There is one panel here, though, that I had to really stop on. So, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a well-drawn image, but what is that expression supposed to be?
Happiness?
This is a lot more difficult than what it looks. It's like all of the background just being basically the exact same shade. It does look like sundown, so that's done incredibly well.
Yeah.
That would be difficult to pull off and make it look correct. This is some masterful coloring to actually make that look right.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times that would actually completely over encapsulate every single thing in the comic. And now we move on to my least favorite page.
Oh, the barf.
So every time I write a sequence with somebody barfing, I want it done in silhouette, right?
Right.
Because barf is gross. No one likes to look at barf. So this would have been just as effective and you saw the guy hurling in some way. And then Abe had some gross stuff covering
I
him.
love that it has to be on Abe too. Like,
Yeah.
He just had.
I'm fine with it being on
yeah.
Abe. It's the fact that you actually see the guy ralphing that's...
Yeah, and it has
disgusting.
the noise effect of.
But what I was going to say is every time that I write a scene where somebody is barfing, for some reason, whatever artist is working on it has to actually draw the whole scene. And barfing has come up in my scripts more than what you might think.
If you hate it so much, why write it?
Because it's gross. And when you're working on something horror related, you should do things that gross you out. So throwing up grosses me out. So I keep using it. But for some reason, none of them ever put it in silhouette. They like to draw the projectile vomit, it seems. And
It is fun to draw in their defense.
yeah.
All of the like.
It harkens back to
lines.
Garbage Pail Kids or something like that.
Something.
Whatever the case, that guy is barfing up everything he's ever eaten for the last 3 years. It's all coming up all at once. That is a lot of barf. He's transforming into some sort of monster.
Yeah.
Everything there is done really well. Once again, the sky gradients are excellent because they actually match with the coloring. They're not fighting against it.
Yeah, I love how in like the panels with actual backgrounds and stuff, like it's again like the building with the windows and everything. It's not like overly detailed. It's just like a bunch of black lines.
Yeah.
Like this is like you don't have to put much to know that that's a ladder going up to like the top part of the ship and everything.
Oh no, you don't
That
have to
there's
draw a
cargo
whole entire
containers.
ladder. You can just draw a couple rings.
Yeah, no. I love how like the shape language is conveyed in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But getting the sky to match with the ocean in the distance, that'd be really hard to do coloring wise.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing I struggle with the most when I'm coloring is trying to figure out what to put in the skies. I'm always trying to figure out how to do skies. And it seems like they never turn out the way that you want.
Right, especially when you have clouds and the way that these clouds are done where they have the reflection of the water and the sky both. And
Yeah.
then like the other panels with just water, where it's reflecting the sky color, those are done very well.
And if I'm not mistaken, the smoke here, is that just a really thin black line, or is it actually overcolored with a darker gray?
I think it might be overcolored with a darker gray, because I think that it begins as a light gray and then it fades into a darker gray.
That's what I always do when I have to do smoke or any sort of explosion or anything. Is I don't do a lot of overcoloring, but I'll do overcoloring on that kind of stuff because it's not going to look right when you have the wrong sort of like black line outlining it.
Yeah.
So that looks really good too. Okay. Who colored this? Did we take a look at who
It's
colored
Derek
it?
Thompson. He did the.
Oh, he did the
art.
coloring too?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just gotta add real quick. I don't know why this creature's designed like this. It doesn't really explain why it looks like this. I just very much enjoy all of the little mushrooms all over him.
You think those are mushrooms? I thought those were nails.
I'm fairly positive those are mushrooms, because if you take a look at the shape and how they are with like the really round caps and then like the little.
I still read those as nails. That's something that we couldn't say. The artist would actually have to say on that one.
Yeah.
But when you look at them, they look like little nails that are hammered in. And I think it's supposed to show that the monster is in some sort of pain. You could be right about them being mushrooms, but I think they're nails.
Yeah.
I don't know. Comment. Tell us. Maybe there's something that we don't even realize what they are, like thumbtacks. I don't know.
Yeah, because I don't know every single creature that the Hellboy universe touches on.
Yeah, it uses
There's
a lot. Yeah, and a lot that are actual like cryptids or mythological or something like that. And I don't know all of them either. I really like the gun flare where
Yeah.
Abe's doing it. This is where I think sound effects are really silly though.
Yeah.
Because I know everybody wants to put a blam in when the gun fires, but you can see the gun firing. Do you need the blam?
Right.
Or do you need this smack when he's going into there?
Yeah.
It's a small complaint, but to me, I think sound effects are not needed about 90% of the time that they're actually included in artwork.
Gripe about sound effects aside, look at this shark.
Yeah, shark looks great.
Look at how like it pops
It
out.
looks hungry.
Right there.
Yeah. Yeah, everything looks good in this fight scene. Abe versus the monster.
Yeah, and this is kind of what I was talking about with the anatomy being a little bit wonky in the first page or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's gotten exaggerated. Yeah.
But yeah. I wish I knew what language they were doing.
I
with the
don't-
monster.
I could be wrong, but I don't think it's a real one.
Yeah, it's probably not, but it would be cool if it was.
It would be cool if it was, but I don't think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this is where we get the origin. And this is where I thought this one really picked up. Is apparently the monster is created through the souls of slaves who are crying out for vengeance, who are dumped off the ship after they died in horrible conditions. I like everything about these pages. The coloring looks great. The artwork looks great. Conveys everything you need to know right there.
Yeah.
And Abe's going back into the water. You can't have Abe Sapien and not go into the water. We should have mentioned earlier, there's a panel where Abe says that he has to take his Dramamine.
Yeah.
I thought that was great because being on the water is not the same as being in the water. I did not know that Abe got motion sickness from being on a ship, but
I didn't either.
That
but
is
it does
great.
make sense.
whether or not it makes sense is funny.
Yeah.
I love that. And this is where Abe's cruelness is shown. The shark's just trying to get a little snack, and he cuts him open to attract all the other sharks to eat that shark.
Yeah, I love the way that the blood is drawn in that panel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one thing I really like is on this,
Yeah.
them going from people who are talking to him to just skeletal remains. That works really well. And the fact that the skeletons are still there after all this time. I didn't know if they were actually there at first or not. But once again, the water is really well drawn in this.
Yeah.
I've not read very many Aquaman or Namor comics. But those that I have read, I think could take a little bit of a lead.
Notes.
Yeah, a couple notes on how to do water properly. Because, just the ripples at the bottom of this.
Yeah, the huge, bubbles around it as he's swimming down.
You don't need much to show that it's in the ocean. But, the reef that has the fish flying off or swimming off it. All that looks great, though. And it's good lessons to take on how you can make water more appealing in your drawings.
Yeah.
I love the experimentation here too, where it's vertical and then you have the smaller wide panels that are all the same.
Yeah.
When you're doing a script, one of the hardest things to do is figure out how many panels there are that go into this. And sometimes you get pages back from the artist where they've added stuff like that in. And it's so much better than anything you've ever thought of.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Abe takes the bodies back to Africa and buries them so they'll finally be at peace. That's the end of that one. And then we get to the Easter egg in this title. Backup tell, whatever you want to say. That features Hellboy. This one may seem familiar to you if you've ever seen the Sword of Storms.
Yeah,
is the animated movie? Sword of Storms, yeah. This is one of the short stories that they actually adapt in that animated movie. So this, of course, features Mike Mignola artwork. You can tell that right off the bat.
Yeah. It's both his writing and his art.
The weird thing about this one is I thought that story was in the Weird Tales anthology. Yeah, so apparently I'm remembering that completely incorrectly because it's clearly right here in the Abe Sapien comic. But I thought it was, but this is pretty much just a one-for-one, for that particular segment of the movie.
Yeah.
The dialogue really isn't changed at all.
No.
And yeah, I think the only thing that's different about it is that Hellboy is actually in Japan in 1957. It doesn't take place in an alternate dimension like he gets sucked to in the animated movie.
Yeah.
But for the animated movie, that makes more sense. And this, of course, is the most Mignola thing on the whole page. Looks phenomenal.
Right.
I love the way that he manages to just make totally harmless things like statues so menacing. And there may not even be a reason for it because you never see anything in this backup story that makes it seem like the statue is actually in control of anything.
Yeah.
It's just menacing for the sake of being menacing. And that's a great element if you're going to do horror comics. Especially something like Hellboy where it's horror, but it's not actually meant to be scary.
Right.
So it's just a great element to add in. I don't think many artists could really pull that off, honestly.
No, and I love... another Mignola thing is to have the characters in silhouettes, but have them in colored silhouettes instead of being black.
Yeah.
I love that.
And that's super hard to do. I've turned characters into silhouette when I've been coloring, not because I want it for the comic, but just because I've been playing around with that whole idea. And it's super hard to do and actually make look right.
It's so hard.
Most of the time when people imitate Mignola, they do not get it right either.
No. Well, his art style
He's got to be
also
colored correctly, though, too.
Yeah.
If he were colored by an amateur colorist, it would not look the same.
Yeah, and his art style is so, blocky, and it relies so heavily on blacks and everything.
Yeah.
It's very easy to mess up.
Right.
If you don't have an eye for, the darks that he uses and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, so here we see these vampires that are a specific type of Japanese vampire who lose their heads at night. And then they were obviously planning on eating Hellboy. He doesn't figure that out until a couple pages later. But I love this reveal. I remember reading this one. I read this before the Sword of Storms came out. And that was the first time I'd ever seen this particular type of vampire.
Okay.
I have been playing with vampires a bit in the Chronicles of Von Helsing, the different types of vampires, like Japanese lore vampires. There are quite a few different types in Japanese lore.
Well, the thing about Japanese lore and everything, not just yokai, but also other spirits and stuff, is that there's so many variations of the same creature, it seems. depending on the region that you're in.
Right.
Kind of like any kind of mythos, I feel.
Yeah. Another thing to take note of with the Hellboy comics is the lettering would not work for a lot of other books.
No.
You notice how much space he leaves on so many of the balloons around the words, or whoever's lettering it. I actually don't know who lettered this.
Yeah.
But like, there's a huge amount of space in between the words and the word balloons. And in most comics, if you did that, you'd be indicating to the audience that the character is talking quieter, which I guess could be the case because he's far away in some of these, or things like that.
Right.
But I don't think so. I think it's actually just stylistic choice. It just works really, really well with Hellboy, but definitely would not work well with other comics.
Yeah. Well, it's that like blockiness to the art style, right?
Yes.
It makes the word balloon itself look blocky.
Yeah.
And fit in.
It works
I feel like
well.
if you don't do word balloons how you would in normal comics, it won't work.
Yeah. Well, there are other comics that you can see that are lettered in a more traditional style with Mignola's artwork.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, DC and Marvel work of his. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I'd agree. It needs a stylized, especially for something like Hellboy.
Yeah. I love the way that he does the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's broken.
Mm-hmm. That's my favorite page in this comic.
Where the bodies are being thrown into the lake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those fish are great. Mm-hmm. Once again, they look menacing for no real reason.
Yeah. It's just...
I have no idea what type of fish they are. Probably trout, something like that. I don't know. Do they have trout in Japan? I'm actually not aware of what type of fish they have in Japan. But
I've stated this for the Chihuahua comic. I don't draw animals that much. And if I'm
Fair
not
enough.
drawing it, I don't know anything about it.
yeah, that's fair. Now, see, like where I had a problem with sound effects earlier on, I actually think this sound effect is really effective.
Yeah.
That's where I think it's super effective to use them. Like in Mignola's page right there, you don't see a sploosh when he's throwing the bodies in.
Yeah.
And you don't need to. That kind of stuff is overused in comics.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel to detriment, is it can make it seem more infantile than what it needs to be. Like sound effects in a kid's comic, a little bit different than one that's aimed at adults. And something like Abe Sapien, I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say this is aimed at adults, right?
Yeah.
So I think Mignola uses sound effects exactly like he should, sparingly. Mm-hmm. And then that silhouette is all just in black. It looks great.
Yeah, and you can tell that he's like still in the water from how it fades out and everything.
Yeah, and the vampire heads almost look like fish to me.
Yeah.
The way that their ears are pointing and everything, I don't know what it is, but they have like a fish-like quality about them.
Yeah, well, like they also have the overly pronounced mouths, and their teeth are like all jutted out, like how he drew the fish and everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But this one in particular, he looks like a fish swimming through the water, but I don't mind that because his body just went into the lake.
Yeah.
And then it turns out that the vampires just didn't look for their heads hard enough. And they die by sunlight because their bodies have to be reunited by the end of it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, overall, I mean, for a short story, that's masterful.
Yeah.
And it's also a lesson that you don't need a huge amount of pages to tell a really good story.
Yeah.
I like the Hellboy story, or I like the Abe story. The Hellboy story to me was the real star of this particular issue. Much shorter in page length. And, it's not always needed to have a super long comic.
Yeah.
Sometimes you could tell a story in 10 pages, 8 pages, and when you can, sometimes you should.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to add?
Nope.
All right, let's go make some comics.
All right.
We didn't create the comics that were featured in today's episode, but we did create these. Check out Ghost Assassin in the Cards and the Chihuahua Who Flew Away mini comic, both of which were written by me. The Chihuahua Who Flew Away was illustrated
By me.